In the last episode, we saw how the greed of Columbus turned paradise into a graveyard, killing out millions of people. But that was only the beginning. Today, the story takes us to a shining city built on water. This city was called Tenochtitlán, the heart of the Aztec Empire, a city of gold, temples, and floating gardens. A paradise soon to face its darkest nightmare. We bring these stories for you with great effort. If you enjoy them, please subscribe and share. Your support is our biggest strength. So, imagine it, an entire city floating on a lake, connected to the land by long stone bridges. But how big was this city? It was the capital of the Aztec Empire, a kingdom that spread over more than 200,000 square kilometers. Inside this grand city lived millions, 6 million people in the empire, and 60,000 houses in the capital alone. And these were not small huts. No, they were tall buildings, wide temples, and markets so crowded that thousands gathered there every day. The Aztecs had something even more amazing. They built floating gardens, farms on artificial islands that looked as if they were gliding on water. Fresh water flowed in through stone canals, and gold, yes, gold, shone in their rivers and lakes. They filtered it, melted it, and used it as if it were nothing special. But was life in this paradise perfect? Not at all. The Aztecs believed in human sacrifices. On their tall temples, men were offered to please the gods. Women and children were spared, but still, the air often carried the cries of sacrifice. And then there was something else, their principles. The Aztecs were brave warriors, but they followed strange rules of honor. One rule was this: never attack without a warning, never betray your enemy. Noble, yes, but dangerous. Why? Because this very rule would one day destroy them. So what happened? Who took advantage of this weakness? The answer lies in the year 1519, when a Spanish soldier named Hernán Cortés stepped onto their shores with just 608 men. Only 600 soldiers against millions. Could they even dream of winning? At first, Cortés was just another adventurer looking for gold. He had tried his luck in the Caribbean and failed. But in Cuba, fate gave him a chance. The Spanish governor sent him to Mexico with orders: build a colony there. And so, Cortés set sail with 11 ships. He landed at Veracruz, territory of the mighty Aztecs. But strangely, the Aztecs did not attack. Why? Here lies the twist. For 300 years, the Aztecs carried an old prophecy that one of their gods would return from across the seas. And when they saw Cortés arriving with something they had never seen before, horses chained to his ships, they were stunned. To them, these creatures were magical. Was this man their god returned? So instead of raising their weapons, they welcomed the strangers. They gave them food, drink, and even revealed secrets about their empire. Cortés now knew how powerful the Aztecs were, and also where their weaknesses lay. But 600 men were not enough to conquer millions. Cortés needed allies, and he found them in the Aztecs' enemies, especially the fierce warriors of Tlaxcala. The old saying came true: the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Together, they formed a new force. When the Aztec king, Montezuma II, heard of these strange men, he hesitated. Were they truly invaders? Or were they gods? His superstition kept him from acting quickly. Instead of fighting, he tried to win Cortés with gifts. Gold, silver, even a giant golden sun disk, 6 feet wide. He hoped these gifts would make the strangers leave. But greed has no end. Cortés sent back his helmet, asking Montezuma to fill it with more gold. And shockingly, the king obeyed, sending back the helmet packed with gold dust. Now Cortés was sure this land is overflowing with treasure. So he asked for one more thing. Not war, he said, but a visit. He wished to see the Aztec capital with his own eyes. Montezuma, bound by doubt and superstition, agreed. And so, in November 1519, Cortés marched into Tenochtitlan with his soldiers and 1,000 Tlaxcalanales. Montezuma welcomed him like an honored guest and even gave him a palace to stay. But what did Cortés do? Did he return the kindness? No. He seized the king himself. Montezuma became a prisoner in his own palace, watched day and night by armed Spaniards. Outwardly, he was still the ruler. In reality, he was nothing more than Cortés's hostage. Every day, the Spaniards forced him to call for more gold, more treasures. They even broke palace walls to store the loot they had taken. The stage was set. The greed of the Spaniards had no end, and the downfall of the Aztec Empire had already begun. Cortés was busy looting the Aztecs' treasures. If he had a little more time, he would have emptied their wealth completely. But suddenly, something happened that turned his game upside down. Do you remember? Cortés had been sent to Mexico by the governor of Cuba, but Cortés was too ambitious. He did not want to answer to anyone. He declared himself the governor of the new colony in Veracruz. So what did the Cuban governor do? He sent another Spanish army to arrest Cortés. Now imagine this. Cortés was stuck in the Aztec capital with gold all around him, yet another Spanish army was marching to capture him. What would he do? He made a bold move. Leaving 80 men to guard King Montezuma, Cortés marched to the coast with the rest. There, he crushed the governor's army, captured most of the soldiers, and then, how clever, he bribed them with gold to join him. Now his army had grown to about 400 men. He was overjoyed, victory after victory. But when he returned to Tenochtitlan, a shock was waiting. In his absence, his soldiers had done the unthinkable. During a local festival, they attacked the crowd and butchered thousands of Aztecs. This massacre broke the illusion. The Aztecs no longer thought the Spaniards were gods. They saw them for what they were, merciless invaders. Anger boiled across the city. Thousands of Aztec warriors surrounded the palace where the Spaniards were hiding. The city roared for blood. Cortés rushed back, bringing reinforcements. In desperation, he placed King Montezuma on the palace rooftop, hoping the king's words would calm his people. But the Aztecs had lost all respect for their king. Some shouted insults, others threw stones and arrows. In the chaos, Montezuma II was killed, whether by his own people or the Spaniards, no one knows. The shield was gone. The illusion of godhood was gone. Now Cortés and his men had no choice but to run. So, on the night of June 30th, 1520, they tried to escape the city. They carried as much gold as they could, thinking the darkness would protect them. After all, the Aztecs never fought at night, but fate had other plans. As the Spaniards crept across the western bridge, an Aztec woman saw them. Her cry shattered the night. Within moments, thousands of Aztec warriors poured in from every side. Arrows rained, spears flew, swords clashed. Panic spread. Many Spaniards, weighed down by sacks of gold, fell into the lake and drowned. That night is remembered as La Noche Triste, the Night of Sorrows. Between 400 to 600 Spaniards were killed, along with countless allies. The Aztecs had struck a mighty blow. But here is the question. Why was this not the end of the Spaniards? Why did victory slip away from the Aztecs? The answer is, Cortés himself escaped. He survived the Night of Sorrows and retreated to Tlaxcala. There, with his native allies, he began preparing for revenge. This time he built boats, brought cannons, and sharpened his strategy. While Cortés prepared, a silent killer entered the city. The Spaniards had unknowingly brought with them a disease, smallpox. The Aztecs had never seen it before. They had no immunity, and within 2 months, thousands upon thousands died in agony. So when Cortés returned in May 1521, the once mighty Aztecs were already broken. This time the Spanish attacked from both land and water. Their new boats, carrying soldiers with guns, easily crushed the Aztecanos. Then the cannons roared, tearing down temples, houses, and markets. The Aztecs fought bravely. Every street, every house became a battlefield. But hunger, disease, and Spanish firepower broke their strength. And then came the horror. Once inside, the Spaniards turned the city into a slaughterhouse. In one part, 12,000 people were massacred. In another, 40,000 killed in a single day. Even children were not spared. Water supplies were cut off, and desperate people drank the salty water of Lake Texcoco. Thousands died of thirst. The once great capital of Tenochtitlán became a city of corpses. The Spanish priests held up crosses, urging the dying to accept Christianity, while at the same time throwing Aztec priests to dogs and burning their sacred books. The last Aztec king, Cuauhtémoc, was captured. Tortured with fire to reveal hidden treasures, he refused to speak. He chose death instead and was hanged. The flag of Spain now waved over Mexico. But Spain's hunger did not stop here. Another great empire still stood in South America, the Inca Empire. Now listen carefully, because this story is even more shocking. The Aztec Empire had ended in 1521. Just 10 years later, the Spaniards marched into the land of the Incas. And the Inca Empire was even bigger. Over 12 million people, spread from Ecuador to Chile, with its capital at Cuzco in Peru. The Inca king, Atahualpa, had 80,000 warriors with him at the town of Cajamarca. The Spanish? Only 181 soldiers. Yes, just 181. So how could so few defeat so many? The answer is treachery. The Spanish leader, Francisco Pizarro, was clever, cunning, and far more ruthless than Cortés. He knew he could never fight the Incas face to face, so he set a trap. He sent a message to King Atahualpa, "Come, let us meet." But here's the tragic part. Just like the Aztecs, the Incas could not see through Spanish lies. Atahualpa trusted Pizarro. With 5,000 men unarmed, he walked into the trap. Around the path, Spanish soldiers hid, waiting. When the king arrived, a priest came forward. He told Atahualpa to accept Christianity and bow to the Spanish king, Charles V. Atahualpa refused strongly, and that was the signal. The Spanish soldiers charged, guns fired, horses trampled. Swords cut through the air. In less than an hour, 4,000 unarmed Incas lay dead. Atahualpa's golden throne was overturned. The king himself was captured alive. Now came the greed. Pizarro demanded a ransom so huge that it shocked the world. He wanted a room filled, yes, an entire room stuffed with gold. And the Incas, desperate to save their king, gave it. Gold piled up to the ceiling. But did Pizarro release him? No. He made another demand: convert to Christianity. Atahualpa agreed, hoping to live, but even then he was betrayed. History tells us he was strangled to death. And with the death of Atahualpa, the mighty Inca Empire also collapsed. Now the two great powers of the Americas, the Aztecs and the Incas, were gone. And once they fell, there was no one left strong enough to stop the Europeans. In just a few decades, lands from Mexico down to Argentina came under Spanish control. Portugal took Brazil. And then, in 1606, 3 British ships sailed to North America. Nobody knew it then, but those ships were laying the foundation of a new country. A country that would one day rise to become the only superpower of the world, the United States of America. But tell me this, why did the vast land of America remain hidden from the rest of the world for 11,000 years? The answer will surprise you in the next episode. Meanwhile, why do you think America was hidden from the world for 11,000 years? I'd love to read your answers in the comments.